Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hey, this is Ron Moore in front of the world famous Billy Bob's, the largest honky-tonk in Texas. Now, don't act like you're so super spiritual that you haven't been here, okay? I met a lot of Gateway people here to do a birthday party back a few years ago. So anyway, hey, I just want to talk to you today about, testing, 1, 2, 3. We try to think that tests, we try to avoid tests. I don't know, I did in college at least. I never forget the professors that were so brilliant. If you'd ask them what time it was, they'd tell you how the watch was made. Well, being an opportunist, you might say, when I wasn't ready for that pop quiz, I knew those professors, and so I would try to ask them a question that I knew was going to take the whole hour for them to answer. So that way we didn't have to have a pop quiz. But see, tests are not for God to find out if you're faithful or what you're going to do. He already knows. Tests are for us to find out all that God is and who He is a little bit more, and to find out His sufficiency. The prime example of that is the one that some people just hate, the story of Abraham taking Isaac up to the mountain. And it's, man, I don't know if I can obey God like that. Well, see, first of all, Abraham was at such a level of his faith. I mean, after all, he believed the promise for his son for how many years, I mean, here he was almost 100, and Sarah was 90-something, and yet, and remember, he didn't deny that she was 90. He didn't say, yeah, I tell you, she's a young honey, and she's going to produce, she's going to give me a baby. He said, what's the scripture say in Romans? It said, he recognized the deadness of Sarah's womb, and yet he believed God. See, and so his faith level was already at a high point, And so when God told him, go sacrifice your son, well, Abraham knew that, hey, he was going to, that this was his heir, and this was where God was going to raise up a multitude of grandbabies. Well, of course, when he got there, and God, and God said, sacrifice your son, I'm telling you, as you'll read it, it's right there in Genesis. You'll read it, he had that knife up in the air, and because he knew that God was going to bring him back from the dead, if that's what it took, and yet he didn't have to. See, he found out when that knife was raised, he found out that God, that's where Jehovah Jireh, God provided. And so he didn't have to go through with that. He found out the all-sufficiency of God. He found out the goodness of God, that God wouldn't ask you to do something and have you follow through with it that's just going to be totally bizarre like that. That's not the Father. And same thing with you. See, God's not going to ask you to do something that's just off the wall crazy, I mean, it's kind of like the guy that said, oh yeah, God told me I was going to marry a married woman. She's already married. Excuse me, God doesn't speak like that, But whatever it is that you feel like you're going through a test, I don't want you to be burdened down today thinking that, boy, God wants to find out if you're faithful, see if you can go to the next level or not. No, listen, friend. The reason you're going through a test is to find out His all-sufficiency, to find out that He is more than enough. He is more than enough, more than you can imagine. Listen, His grace is sufficient for you. And how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, Ron, I don't know if I could go through what you've been through. Well, hey, you don't have to know that until you face it. See, it's just like, you don't, like the old saying says, you don't have the grace you need until you need the grace. So listen, today I want to challenge you. Don't run from those tests. Don't be afraid of tests, because God's going to take you and your faith to a whole new level when you come through that test. Hey, have a great weekend. I will talk to you again on Monday. I'll tell you, this springtime in Texas, go out and enjoy some bluebonnets, okay? Hey, have a good one. Bye-bye now.